Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sean Carlson here, coming back to you with another painting from my home studio / dungeon. Ow. Loki, he's a character we all know and love, has been around the MCU since the very beginning, Phase 1, the first Thor movie, and a character that just won't die. I can't think of how many times. There's the first Thor. Dark World, Infinity War Endgame, he got choked by Thanos. And I think that's it. But for every time he dies, he always returns, because Tom Hiddleston is just that good of an actor, and the character is just that charming and entertaining. So, with all that in mind, the vast journey and epic that the character has been on through multiple movies and now different timelines and dimensions and all that, thanks to the Loki series that just finished on Disney+, I decided to do a painting of my own that charts pretty much the entire journey. As you could probably guess, the title of this piece is called Loki's Journey, and as I said, it goes from pretty much the start here at the bottom, him on the throne of Asgard, his premiere, the very first Thor movie, winding his way through all the major events and different iterations and incarnations of the character. So the idea with this piece is to capture all in one image the entire story of the character from beginning to right up to now. So I got a whole video coming up that's going to take you through the entire process, how I created this thing. But very first, before we get started, as always, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check me out on Instagram as well at Sean Carlson Art. Appreciate all the support, and let's get painting. Believe it or not, this part, the drawing, was my favorite section of this whole piece. I hadn't done any real traditional pencil to paper in a while, and it was nice to get back to just the simple basics of line and shadow. And thankfully, there was a lot of drawing to do. When you have a painting that's meant to chart as storied a character as Loki's, there's inevitably going to be a lot of detail. And trying to find a balance and flow with all of these elements was a real challenge, especially since I'd never attempted something of this kind of composition before. I was looking a lot at the work of Drew Struzan, who's the greatest movie poster artist ever, and the way he managed to pull together so many different references onto one image without your eye ever losing focus. To that end, I tried to use the flow of the green watercolor background as my basis for where I would put the main characters of the piece, that being Thor, Sylvie, and Loki, all following a sort of elongated backwards S stemming from Loki on the throne at the bottom. Trying to figure out what or who to include, and also who to not, was equally difficult. There's a bunch of obvious necessities, pivotal moments for the character. The new Loki series, him as a villain in the first Avengers, the brief moment of him on the throne of Asgard from the first Thor, those were all must-haves for me. But things like the what-if Frost Giant version, I was a little on the fence for, but ultimately decided to put it in because visually that blue gave the piece a nice break from all the green and yellow, and also balanced out the blue from the Tesseract on his other shoulder. Alright, drawing is pretty much done. And now, at this point, we sort of come to the big crossroads. The idea with this piece is that I want to have this big watercolor, green explosion kind of happening behind everything that I've drawn thus far. I'll show you a couple references right now of some things that have inspired me and some things that I'm looking out and the direction I want to go in. The issue is, this watercolor might cover up all of this pencil work that I've worked so hard to perfect and put everything right exactly where I want it. So I'm gonna be doing a little, I guess a little test run of like a sample piece. I'm gonna just quickly sketch something on it, throw some watercolor down on it, and then see, how heavy I can go with the watercolor, maybe doing like a liquid mask on top of a few of the portraits just to preserve them. That's what we're gonna do next, so that way I don't, mess up the actual piece. Okay, watercolor test piece is all done. I'll give you a closer look at that. You can still see a good amount of, the pencil work and all that underneath, so I won't be covering that up and causing any issues. So now it is time to get to the actual piece. This part is always a little nerve-wracking just because, the pencil that I lay down and all that can always be erased or, redone. But as soon as you start adding any ink or paint to it, that stuff's set. So no turning back now. Let's keep going. Alright, watercolor is done. Give you an up close look at that now. Pretty happy with how it came out. This was a new sort of technique and way of painting for me, so I was kind of nervous when I first got started, but fell into the groove pretty quickly, was flinging paint all over the place, and was having a lot of fun. Next up, just going to be sort of going around and doing a underpainting, just sort of going over very simply, covering up the areas that I'm going to be painting over the green, and just sort of giving a base layer for the portraits, which I'm going to be going into first. Alright, the portraits are all done. Very happy to say that because, as I said, the portraits are by far the toughest part of, doing anything like this. But now, thankfully, the heavy lifting is done. Going to be doing a lot of just sort of skipping around, filling in all the, armor, background, very small characters and stuff that I still have left to do. So, cue the montage. we have it, ladies and gentlemen, everything that went into creating this painting. Hope you enjoyed the process and hope you enjoyed the finished product. I certainly had a lot of fun making it. There was a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges and just a whole new approach on this one for me. The way I was using watercolor, the acrylic paintings on top of it, the composition, was a whole bunch of stuff I'd never tackled before. But like I said, pretty happy with the end result. And if you agree with me and you think both the video and the art was cool, then feel free to leave a comment and let me know. And also be sure to check out my shop on Etsy and my website as well. I got this available as a print as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. Every new piece I make that you see on this channel, I do prints of, I throw it up on the site. So it's all constantly being updated with both prints and the originals that you see on here. So check that out. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.